Okay, so physical science tayo today and we're going to discuss about, wait lang, share sound. Okay, so we're talking about how the elements are formed. Where atoms, it's about atoms and elements. So after itong slide na to is magpapalabas din ako ng video mula din sa ating AMA-ES na lectures. Okay? So available na po yung inyong physical science sa ating LMS portal. Kaya pwede nyo na siya ma-view. Okay. So let's start. So ano tayo, more on atoms tayo, no? An early concepts daw ng atom, okay? According to mga Greek philosophers natin noong 400 BCs. So meron dalawa na pinagdedebatihan which is continuous. Sinasabi na yung mga atoms natin can be divided indefinitely or discrete daw which is invisible particle. Pero most of the, syempre, most of the expert or Greek philosophers, which is si Aristotle na kilala natin, is agreed with the continuous theory. Okay? But of course, it was, paki-off po yung mic, please. Wait lang. Okay, so tuloy tayo. No, itong continuous model na ginagawa ng mga philosophers ay nagtagal for almost 2,000 years. Okay? So next naman tayo. And then noong 1807 si John Dalton, ayan, isang scientist din. So it presented evidence that discrete must exist as a particle. Okay? His hypothesis is each chemical element is composed of small indivisible particle called atoms. Ito na yung napag-aaralan natin, di ba? Yung the smallest particle of the earth. Okay? Identical of each element but different from atoms and other elements. So John Dalton, also known for the billiard ball model, which is a tiny indivisible uniformly dense solid sphere. No, it was 1807. Susunod naman kay J.J. Thomson, which is na-discover naman niya electron. So alam naman natin, di ba, sa atom may atom which is electron, proton, and nucleus. Tama? Di ba? So ito, iisa-isahin natin sila. So sabi ko nga, electron by J.J. Thomson in 1903, no, ang mass ng isang electron is 9.11 times 10 to the negative 31 na may charge na negative 1.60 times 10 to the negative 19 degrees Celsius. Okay? So Thomson concluded that his ray consisted of negative particles, no, sa isang atom. Okay? Sumunod naman si kay Thomson ulit, okay, the plant pudding model. Okay? So identical electrons were produced no matter what gas was in the tube. Okay? So he conclude that atoms at all time contain electrons or negative energy. Okay? So since atoms are whole or electrically neutral, some other part of the atom must be positive. Ito na yung tinatawag na protons, no? This concluded that the electrons were stuck randomly in otherwise homogeneous or pinaghalo mass of positive charge pudding. So this is the diagram of the Thomson's model, the plum pudding model, which is sa isang sphere na ito, may mga positive charge and the negative charge. But of course, they are embedded with the negative charge, okay, which is electron. Next naman si Ernest Rutherford. Ito na, yung nucleus, the tiny core ng atom, okay, which is 99.9% of the mass ng isang atom. Okay? It was discovered on 1911. Okay? Next naman, yan, Rutherford model ulit. So makikita natin sa isang atom, so napakaliit na particle, 'di ba? May protons which is the positive energy or positive charge, electron, negative charge, and sa gitna nun merong nucleus. Okay? They are rotating, no, inside the atom. Next naman natin to microwaves. So na-discover natin ito or napapag-aralan natin yung microwave and meron tayo nito sa bahay. Diba? So electromagnetic radiation is low frequency about 10 to the times 10 to the 10th power hertz po 'yon. Okay? So after niyan, so yung mga radio waves natin sa radio, okay? Yan. So, sa microwave oven. So, lahat naman tayo may microwave oven, tama? So, ano ba ginagawa ng microwave oven? So, usually, di ba, pinapasok natin yung food para mainitan. Yung moisture ng pagkain kasi, so, syempre, it contains water. So, nag-absorb yun para makapag-gain ng energy, which is makapag-init tayo ng ano, yung mismong ipapasok natin yung pagkain natin sa loob. Okay, sabi dito, as the water molecules gain energy, they rotate more rapidly, thus heating or cooking the item. Okay, di ba di ba umiikot yung microwave, yung iba walang umiikot. So mangyayari, which is yung dahil nga may moisture, di ba, which is may liquid substance sa pagkain, definitely mag-absorb siya and then mag-create siya ng heat. So fats and oils can also preferentially gain energy, okay, from the microwave. So tuloy tayo. So paper, plastic, so lahat ng 'di ba, mostly sa mga food natin sa nilalagay. Sa plastic, sa ceramic, sa glass. But of course, hindi siya yung direkta ng init. Pero nagiging mainit siya dahil doon sa pagkain, which is syempre yung init, 'di ba? Yung conduction ng heat nung pagkain. So yung nakalagay doon, so yun yung magpapainit din sa container. Okay? Kasi ang pupuntirya ng microwave oven yung mismong laman ng container. Okay. Interior metal sides of the oven, so sa gilid niya, reflect the radiation and remain cool. Okay. So do microwaves penetrate the food and heat it throughout? Okay. Microwaves only penetrate a few centimeters and therefore they work better if the food is cut into small pieces. Okay? So kung yung food natin kasi depende ipapasok, pero for example malalaking food, okay, mga prito, okay, so you should cut into small pieces para mag-penetrate yung heat niya through all out doon sa lalagyan. Okay, so inside the food must be heated by conduction. Next, so discovery of microwaves as a cooking tool. Okay, noong 1946 yan, Raytheon Corporation, si Percy Spender, to put his chocolate bar close to a microwave source. So yung chocolate bar pinasok niya and then natunaw po yung chocolate bar. So after that, no, na-event na ngayon yung microwave oven, which is ginagamit natin today. Next po natin is X-ray. Wait lang, may open ng mic. Okay. Tuloy tayo. So, X-ray, it was accidentally discovered by Wilhelm Röntgen. Okay, German physicist siya, no? Sabi niya, he's working with the gas discharge tube that a piece of fluorescent paper across the room was glowing. So, kumikinang daw. So, doon na i-form ang X-ray. Okay? So, deducted the unknown and see radiation from the tube was the cause. He called the mysterious radiation X radiation because it was unknown. Kaya doon nagsimula yung X. Okay? X-ray. So, X radiation or X-ray. So, ano ba ginagawa ng X-ray? So, electrons for the cathode, ito yung mga tubes to, okay? Accelerated toward the anode. So, magta-transfer yung cathode ng negative charge doon sa kabila. Okay? And then, the atoms emit energy to form of X-ray. So, papunta siya dito sa mga high voltage supplies. Okay? So, di ba pag ini-X-ray tayo, for example, chest X-ray. So, yung ilaw, 'di ba, magka-capture siya, no? Ika-capture niya yung object. Okay? And then pag na-capture yung object niya, so magta-transmit siya sa high voltage, which is makikita na po yung skeletal system natin. Okay? So ito yung unang itsura ng X-ray. Okay? So it was used for the practical use, and nung mga unang panahon kasi it's too aggressive, which is nagko-cause ng cancer. And today naman talagang ginagamit na X-ray for mga laboratories, of course, and sinasabi naman din pagka X-ray, so may mga certain period lang na pwede ka magpa-X-ray kasi yung mga radiation with that. Okay? So throughout about elements, ayan. So Greek philosophers, which is sila Aristotle, alam naman natin, okay? were the first people who speculate about the basic substance of matter. Okay? Aristotle speculated that all matter on earth is composed of earth, air, life, fire, and water. So, parang Encantadia lang, di ba? So, lahat ng elemento na meron tayo dito sa earth, which is meron tayo yon. Okay? Next naman, ang elements. Ito na yung periodic table, which is na invento. Okay? Which is si John Jacob Berzelius, which is the Swedish chemist. So, na-introduce yung two letters of the Latin name. Okay? Kung bakit, di ba, napapansin nyo doon sa mga periodic table natin, ba't magkakaib, yung kunyari, Mercury, ba't hindi siya M, magsisimula? Okay? It was came from the Latin names. Okay? Kaya kinuha yung first two names ng mga elements na ito, okay? Components na ito, whether mineral or chemical. Okay. Since Berzelius' time, most elements has been symbolized by the first one with two letters of the English name. You're expected to know the names of the symbols, which is this one. Okay, so we are familiar with this periodic table, and alam niyo naman, high school, pinakapisa to sa inyo. Okay, may mga numbers of protons, electrons, lahat po yun. And atomic number. Okay? Yan. So, dito tayo magtatapos and then we will preview a video. So, atom. Yan. All matter is composed of atom. Okay? Matter. So, pati yung mga element natin. And atom, di ba, the smallest particle, no, nabanggit natin kasi sino yung mga nag-discover, composed of electrons, protons, and neutrons. Okay? Sorry, neutrons pala yung pangatlo. Okay? So with this no charge. Okay? The nucleus of the atom contains the protons and the neutrons. Okay? So which is that's what we call the nucleons. Okay? The electrons surrounds the orbit of the nucleus, which is the negative charge. Okay? Electrons and protons have equal but opposite charges. Di ba? Parang magnet, may positive and negative. Okay. So, papasok na tayo ngayon sa ating video regarding sa atom. Okay.
Atom is the smallest particle of matter. Okay? So for us to be able to understand kung ano talaga yung what makes up the atoms and how do they combine, let's start with Dalton's atomic theory. Okay? So this will give us, actually class, yung Dalton's atomic theory, this is a theory that paved the way to the, understanding of the modern day concept about the atom that we know now. Ito yung pinagmulan niya. Okay? So let's take a look at the postulates or the statements of the theory one by one. Okay? So una, it says here, elements are composed of extremely small particles called atoms. All atoms of a given element are identical, having the same size, mass, and chemical properties. The atoms of one element are different from the atoms of other elements. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Okay. Ayan. Basically, class, statement number one or postulate number one actually describes what an element is. Ano ba yung element? Or shall we say, it defines what an element is. So sabi natin, it is composed of extremely small particles called atoms. So in fact, any substance that is consists of only one kind of atom is an element, whether the particles exist as atoms or molecules. Diba? Kasi molecule yan, if one atom is bonded to another atom. Diba? Now, oxygen gas, o all the gases, except the noble gases, ha? Yung H2, O2, N2, the reason why ganun ang kanilang formula is because they exist in molecular form. Okay, so you have, pag O2, we have an oxygen atom bonded to another oxygen atom. Okay? Alright? But all the other elements, yan, atomic na in nature. Okay? So it's like this. Sabi nung statement number one, if all the atoms come from the same element, lahat yung atoms na yun ay identical. So, ibig sabihin, kung ano yung properties ng atom na yun yung nagmamanifest dun sa buong element na nakikita natin. Because we do not see atoms, right? But we can observe the distinct properties. So in other words, we can say that whatever we observe in the macroscopic world is what is actually happening at the atomic level. Diba? So, kung ano man yung properties ng atom, yun yung na-observe natin doon sa matter na nakikita natin, na nahahawakan natin, na nafe-feel natin. Because we do not see atoms. Right? So, all atoms. Kaya, if they come from the same element, lahat yun ay identical. Okay? Pag sinabi identical, they have the same size, mass, chemical properties. Alright? Yun. Number 2, compounds are composed of atoms of more than one element. In any compound, the ratio of the numbers of atoms of any two of the elements present is either an integer or a simple fraction. Okay, so ito na yung, kaya nga yung mga compounds may mga formulas, di ba? Yun yung mga definite and constant composition ng mga compounds. For example, H2O, di ba? H2O is water. Okay? Now, the particle for the compound water is H2O. And it's a molecule. It's not atom. It's a molecule. Why molecule? Because you have two atoms hydrogen bonded to one atom of oxygen. And as a whole, kasi pag pinaghiwa-hiwalay natin yung hydrogen, oxygen, hindi na siya water. You get my point? You understand? Yeah. So we're talking of water here. So the smallest particle is the molecule H2O. Okay? Ayan. So constant yun. Because of that constant composition, the properties of water as we know it, yun yung na-observe natin. Now, if you change, kahit isang atom lang, gawin lang natin, let's say, H2O2. Okay? You can no longer drink it. Pag ininom mo yun, mamamatay ka. And you can not use it for taking a bath. You cannot use it for cooking, etc., etc. Why? H2O2 is yung alam na alam natin na agwa oxygenada, hydrogen peroxide. O, di ba? So, hindi natin, we do not drink H2O2. So, yun yung sinasabi natin, kahit isang atom lang ang difference, it's going to be a whole new set of properties already. Okay? Ayan, maliwanag yan, ha? Now, statement number 3. So, basically, statement number 1 describes or defines an element. Number 2 describes or defines a compound. And number 3 describes a chemical reaction. Kaya sabi dito, a chemical reaction involves only the separation, combination, or rearrangement of atoms. Okay? It does not result in their creation or destruction. Ibig sabihin, nagre-rearrange lang o kaya nagko-combine o kaya nagse-separate yung atoms na kaya nagiging chemical reaction. Pero hindi nagfo-form ng bagong atom. Like for example, di ba, sabi natin, H2 plus O2 will give you H2O. Now, the hydrogen atom in hydrogen gas is still the same atom that you find, is still the same hydrogen atom that you find in water. O, tama? Now, the oxygen atom in oxygen gas is still the same oxygen atom that you find in the oxygen atom in water. Yun ang ibig sabihin nun, class. Okay? Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. Alright? So, kaya nga, sabi natin, if movement lang yan, combination, separation, arrangement, di ba? Nagko-combine, like hydrogen plus oxygen, nagko-combine to form water, di ba? O kaya naman ay H2O, magse-separate siya into hydrogen and oxygen. O, di ba? So, if you write in a chemical equation, yung hydrogen gas plus oxygen, or H2 plus O2 to give you H2O, yung tatlong yon are three different substances with three different constant and definite compositions with three different distinct properties. O, yun ang ibig sabihin nun. Okay, class? Is that clear? Can I get a thumbs up if that is clear? Is that clear? Okay. Thank you. All right. So let's continue. Yan. Okay. So if we just focus on the Dalton's atomic theory, we might think that um, the atom can no longer be divided, or yun ang pinakamaliit talaga, ultimate na pinakamaliit. In fact, class, the word atom was obtained from the Greek word atomos. Atomos means uncuttable. Okay? But, syempre, yung Dalton's atomic theory is still true until now. Uh, as far as the properties of the elements are concerned. Pero what really makes up an atom? Ano ba talaga ang composition ng atom? Okay? So the advancement of technology, just like now, di ba? Nung una, kilobytes lang yung capacity ng ating mga memory, kung ano man yan. Ngayon, nasa terabyte na tayo, di ba? Because of the advancement of technology. So, ganun din sa science. So, the advancement of technology paved the way to discovering the different subatomic particles. And these are the various subatomic particles. Now, kung paano sila na-discover, you just read them in your modules. Okay? Very, very clear sa inyong modules. But this table here gives you yung characteristic, or shall we say properties, o kung ano man, description of the different subatomic particles in terms of mass and charge. Okay? So mass and charge. Okay, now, class, the charges that we know in nature, yung mga positive charge, negative charge, na alam natin, okay, dito yan nag-originate. They all originated from these subatomic particles. So in other words, these are basically the particles that make up an atom. So ibig sabihin, pag gusto natin, kunyari, nakakapag-manufacture tayo ng atom, di ba? Pag gagawa tayo ng bahay, ano kailangan natin? Kailangan natin ng semento, ng hollow blocks, ng bakal, ganon, di ba? Pag gagawa ng bahay. Pag gagawa naman tayo ng atom, ito yung kailangan natin. Electrons, protons, and neutrons. Okay? So these are the composition of an atom. These are the particles that make up an atom. Kaya tawag dyan ay subatomic particles. And notice that an electron, ito yung actual masses nila ito, class ha. These are the actual masses in gram. So imagine mo an electron has a mass of 9.1 times 10 to the negative 28 gram. O imagine mo kung gaano kalit yan. Hindi na yan talaga. It's almost assumed to be massless. And yung proton at neutron, they have equal or equivalent masses, which is 1.67 times 10 to the negative 24 gram. Sobrang liit. Kahit nga neutron o proton, hindi natin makikita yan, di ba? We do not see that. Kaya nga we assigned a mass unit, a multiple. Ayan. So these are, now, since we're dealing with a very, very small number for the actual masses of the subatomic particles, ayan, our scientists came up with a system where we can only, shall we say, parang as multiples of 1, something like that. Kaya since proton and neutron have equivalent masses or equal masses, then they were assigned a mass unit of 1. And then a neutron, 1. And still, because electron, even if we compare to 1, as compared to 1, it is almost considered to be massless. So we always assume an electron to be massless. So kasi as compared to 1, parang times 10 to the negative 4 pa din yung difference, di ba? So it's almost negligible. But then, kung gaano ka-negligible naman yung kanyang mass, ganun naman ka-significant yung kanyang charge. Okay? So, these are the actual charges in coulomb. Coulomb class is the unit to measure the charge, okay, of a particle. And electron has a charge of 1.6, which is numerically equal or equal to 1.6.022 times 10 to the negative 19 for proton. They have exactly the same value, but they differ only in sign. Kaya nga, when we say that a certain particle has a charge of negative 1, that is actually 1 times 1, sorry, 1 times negative 1.6022 times 10 to the negative 19. Kaya kung charge ng isang ion, for example, is negative 2, that is actually 2 times negative 1.6 times 10 to the negative 19. Ganun din pagdating sa proton. Okay? And then a neutron is electrically neutral. Okay? O, kasi yung mga charges na yan, class, these are the charges that give rise to electricity na alam natin. Kaya nga, di ba makikita niyo sa electricity, merong positive end, merong negative end, o sa battery, positive, may negative, something like that. And neutrons are electrically neutral particles. Okay? Kaya the charge is zero. Okay? So these are the characteristics of the various subatomic particles. Okay? The composition, because of this, we can determine the composition of various atoms. Okay, ganito. Balik tayo kanina dun sa, di ba, dun sa Dalton's theory, atomic theory. Okay? Sabi natin, all elements, all atoms from the same element are identical. Okay? And then atoms from different elements differ from each other. Okay, do you remember that? Yung kanina? Diniscuss natin. Oh, it's like this. Kung halimbawa meron tayong sodium metal, sodium, kukuha tayo ng kunyari 10 atom galing sa sodium. Okay? Yung 10 atom na yon pare-pareho. Okay? Yun yung ibig sabihin. Identical. Now, kung kukuha naman tayo ng 10 atom galing sa, let's say, magnesium o kaya gold, o yung 10 yon pare-pareho. Pero kung we take one atom from sodium and then one atom from magnesium, then these two atoms differ from each other because they came from two different elements. Yun yung ibig sabihin nun. Okay? So for a particular element, we can, yan. So for example, for an element X, if you're given this symbol, you will be able to determine the composition of element. Okay, so for an element X, given this symbol, the composition of element X can be determined. Why? O, ano yung composition? Pag sabi natin yung composition, ilang protons, ilang electrons, ilang neutrons. Yun ang ibig sabihin ng composition of atoms. Alright? So, ano ba? What does this symbol mean? O, ano bang nire-represent niyan? Ano yung A? Ano yung Z? If X is an element, a hypothetical element, ano yung A? Ano yung Z? Okay? Z class is the atomic number. Okay? Atomic number yan. And it represents the number of protons in the nucleus of each of an element. Okay? Do you get that? O, remember this ha, mamaya medyo meron tayong interaction, meron tayong question and answer. Okay. So, the atomic number, by the way, you do not change, you do not interchange. Hindi pwedeng A is here. You cannot make A as the subscript and then Z as the superscript. It's always Z being the subscript and it's always A being the superscript. Okay? So, if we know, if this has a number, a value, then we know that it is the atomic number. And it represents the number of protons in the nucleus. So, for example, if you have an periodic table with you, di ba? O sige, bigyan ko na lang kayo ng examples. For example, hydrogen. Hydrogen, the atomic number is 1. So, ibig sabihin, hydrogen has only one proton in its nucleus. Okay? I hope, class, that by this time, it's already tawag dito, established in you that the structure of an atom is one where we have a nucleus, okay? Now, in the nucleus, you find there the protons and the neutrons. And around the nucleus are the electrons, which are constantly spinning around the nucleus. Okay? O siguro, if you had your chemistry or kung may chemistry kayo, you will be discussing more of this in detail. Okay? For now, we're just after the composition. But with the structure, probably a little later, we will tackle that. But for now, how do we determine the composition? How many protons? How many electrons? How many neutrons? Alright? So, in the periodic table, lahat ng atomic numbers doon, okay, uh, are iba-iba. Have you seen, o sige, sagutin nyo ako. You can chat, you can write it down on our chat box here. Have you seen two elements that have the same atomic number? Yes or no? No. Okay, no. Okay. So, this is one of the reasons why a sodium atom is different from a magnesium atom. O, isang difference na yon, di ba? Because a sodium atom, if its atomic number is 11, then it has 11 protons. And magnesium, if its atomic number is 12, then it has 12 protons. Yun ang ibig sabihin nun. Alright? Alright, class? Alright, what about A? A is a mass number. Yan. Ano ba yung mass number? It represents the total number of neutrons and protons present in the nucleus of an atom. Okay? Yan. Kaya nga, di ba sabi natin, the nucleus is one where it's a core na nandun yung protons and yung... Now, you may be wondering this time, kasi di ba sabi natin, you have learned from other subjects or probably in chemistry also or maybe in physics that like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. Okay, now the electrons is spinning around the nucleus. Okay, it cannot really leave the nucleus or the atom because it is attracted to the nucleus. Kasi electrons are negatively charged and protons are positively charged. Then you may be wondering, why is it that the protons in the nucleus do not repel each other? Okay? Yan. So let me just side ano lang ito ha. Because they are held there by a stronger force. Stronger than electrostatic force of attraction. Kasi yung attraction ng positive and negative, electrostatic in nature. Diba? So, electrostatic force ang tawag doon. Now, in the nucleus, the reason why the protons cannot really repel or do not repel each other is because very, very strong yung force that hold them. And you call that nuclear force. Ayan. Kaya nga, hindi natin pinakikialaman yung atomic number when we talk about chemical changes. O, kasi hindi, pag pinakailaman natin yung protons in the nucleus, it's no longer chemical change, but nuclear change already. And this is not discussed here. Okay? So let's go back to the composition. Ayan. So if the mass number represents the total number of neutrons and protons, okay, and if you know the protons, then you will be able to determine the number of neutrons. Diba? Okay, so let's have some example to what about the electrons? What about electrons? Oh, how do we know the number of electrons? Remember, sabi ko, okay, so let's continue. Ayan. With this symbol, can you give me the number of protons for carbon? O, sige. Let's have some exercises. I-type nyo dyan sa chat box natin. How many protons with this symbol? Ito. How many protons? How many? Come on. 6. Okay. And how many neutrons? Oh, type nyo din. How many neutrons? 9? O, diba? Let's go back. To. Z is the atomic number, yung subscript. And it gives you the number of protons. Sabi natin, Z, the atomic number, equals protons, number of protons. A, the mass number, equals protons plus neutrons. So you can practically determine the number of protons and the number of neutrons given this symbol. Is that okay? O, sige. Let's continue. Now, if you are given this symbol, kunyari, ito lang, itong una, this carbon here. How many protons? Someone answered 6. That's correct. How did you get 6? Okay? Kasi sa atomic number. Okay? Now, that's correct. Now, how many protons are there for this carbon atom? How many protons? 12? 6. Okay, 6. 6. How did we get 6? 12 here is protons plus neutrons. If 6 of that is already protons, then the remainder would be the neutrons. Diba? So 12 minus 6 equals 6. So that's how we get the number of protons. What about the number of electrons? Okay, now, listen. Wala sa symbol yung electrons. But you can see it from the symbol itself kung may charge o wala. Now, the symbol, walang nakalagay na positive o negative na charge. That means we have a neutral atom. Nakuha nyo? Now, if the atom is neutral, then the number of protons is equal to the number of electrons. Kasi walang charge eh, di ba? O kaya equal number ang proton and electron. So, if that's the case, how many electrons for this carbon atom? How many? 6. 6 din. Kasi positive 6 plus negative 6 equals 0. Kaya wala siyang charge. Kasi kung hindi yan equal, it could lead to a positive charge or a negative charge. Okay? O, mamaya, pag-ano natin yan. O, sige, dito muna tayo. How many protons for this nitrogen atom? How many? 7. Okay, very good. 7. 7. And how many neutrons? 7 also. How many electrons? 7 din. Okay? 7. Because it does not have a charge. It does not bear a charge. Meaning, the protons and electrons are equal. O yan. Kaya, with this one, the composition of carbon is 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. And then, the composition of nitrogen is 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. So, sige, let's try. Let's try on your own. On this, sa order na to ha, in pen, proton, electron, neutron. Okay? Kahit na sabihin nyo lang ay 777, 778, something like that sa pagsagot. Okay? Will you try? Give me the composition of this atom. Come on. What's the composition of that atom? Twelve, 12, 12. Give another number, answer. 11, 11, 11. Somebody, wala pa tama. Talaga? In the order ng protons, electrons, neutrons, ha? Wala pa nakakasagot ng tama. Come on. How many protons? Protons muna, ha? Protons, electrons, neutrons. How many protons? 11, 11, 12. Very good. Si Kaizen Earl Platon. Yan, he got the correct answer. There are 11 protons because of this subscript here, which gives you the atomic number and the number of protons. And because it has no charge, then there should be also 11 electrons. And since the mass number is 23 and 11 of that is protons, then the remaining 12 should be the neutrons. Ayan. O, gets na. No. Protons, electrons, neutrons. Okay, now, if you gave the answer na protons, neutrons, electrons, and you answered 11, 12, 11, then tama din. Okay? Tama. Okay. Okay na. Another one. Sige, isa pa, isa pa. Oh, this one. Oh, pen order, ha? Pen. Proton, electron, neutron. Oh, come on. How many protons? How many electrons? How many? Okay, 12, 12, 11, 12. Okay, very good. Those who answered 12, 12, 11, that is the correct answer. Okay, the atomic number is 12. So it has 12 protons. And because it does not bear a charge, there should be 12 electrons also. And because the mass number is 23, and out of the 23, 12 is already proton. Therefore, 11 is the number of neutrons. Ayan. Very good. Ayan. Nakuha na. Gets na. Very good. Alright? So, let's continue. What about, yan, dito na tayo, formation of ions. How are ions formed? Sabi dito, when an atom has equal number of protons and electrons, the atom is electrically neutral. Like I said kanina, di ba? But if an atom loses or gains an electron, di ba? It becomes, nagkakaroon na ng disbalance or there is already an imbalance in charges, such that if an atom loses an electron, then there would be more protons that gives you a positive charge for the atom. However, if it gains more electrons, then mas lamang na yung electrons, then the atom becomes negatively charged. When that happens, okay, ion is formed. O, di ba? Kaya ang ion is a positively or negatively charged particle. Okay? Dito, we just talk of ions na isa lang, di ba? An atom that has lost or gained electrons. So, this is a monoatomic ion. Pero, meron mga ions na molecules, molecular, more than one atom. Like, for example, carbonate ion, di ba? CO3, 2 negative. Yan. Pero, later na lang natin pag-usapan yun. Okay? It is not covered in this discussion. Alright? So, let's continue. So, in the same manner that we can determine the composition of atoms, we can also determine the composition of ions. Okay? If you're given the same symbol, alright? Yes. They can also be symbolized by writing the chemical symbol followed by a superscript and then the ions charge. Like for example, ito. Nakita nyo may charge na dito. Right? Okay? That charge, dahil positive siya, ibig sabihin, 2 electrons have been lost. Nakuha nyo? Okay, so, if we have, sa isang banda naman, for this one, yan, negative 3. Ibig sabihin, 3 electrons have been gained by nitrogen. And if we write the same symbol like this, kagaya ng isa, di ba? Yung example natin kanina, sodium, walang charge. Pero merong mass number at saka atomic number. Ito merong atomic number, may mass number at may charge pa. So therefore, Its composition is 20 protons, 18 electrons, and 20 neutrons. Remember, because of this positive charge here, that indicates that 2 electrons have been lost. Okay? At ganyan lang class yung, if we continue that, naging positively charged yung calcium, then it becomes very reactive. Diba? Pag merong ion na negatively charged somewhere sa environment niya, then it's going to form a bond. Yan. Kaya nagkakaroon ng chemical bonding resulting into chemical reaction. So, ganyan lang yung mga nangyayari sa chemical reactions. It's just transferring or sharing or losing and gaining of electrons. Hindi ng protons. Okay? Because if protons are lost or gained, then we have undertaken a nuclear reaction. Okay? At iba yon. It's not taken up here. Okay? So, let's continue. Yan. Tingnan nga natin. Ito, okay na. Example natin yan kanina. We'll try this one. What is the composition of this ion? Sige, type nyo ulit. Type nyo dyan. In pen order. 2020, Mr. Pat. O talaga? Naku, gets na kanina eh. 989? 9911? Oh, come again. May charge yan, ha? There's a charge. 9, 10, 9, 10, 11. Okay, who answered 9, 10, 11? Si Neil Joshua Santos. Sino pa? Sino pa yung nag-answer ng 9, 10? That's the correct answer, okay? 9, 10, 11. Okay. The atomic number is 9. Okay? Paano nangyari yon? 9, 10, 11. 9 protons, 10 electrons, and 11 neutrons. That's the correct answer. How did we get that? So far, isa pa lang ang nakatama ng sagot, ha? Ayan. Okay. How did we get, somebody answered here, is 9, 10, 11. Si Neil Joshua Santos. Okay, very good. Yung iba, 9, sorry. Alright. This is the atomic number, okay? This is the atomic number. Ayan. 9 is the atomic number. Sabi natin, atomic number is the number of protons. So that is why 9 ang protons. Now, there is a charge. Kung wala yung charge, there should be 9 electrons also. But the charge is negative. Pag walang number class, it's understood to be 1, ha? It's understood to be, kasi kung negative 2, yan, 2 electrons have been gained. Pag walang, kunyari, positive lang yan, 1 lang ang involved, okay? But here, this is a negative. So, it's understood to be negative 1. So, that means, dahil negative siya, the atom is in excess of 1 electron, which means, okay, it gained 1 electron. Tama? So, that is why 9 plus 1 is 10 electrons. Alright? Then, where did we get the 11 neutrons? The mass number is 20. 20 minus 9 is 11. O, di ba? Ganyan yon? Tama ba? Did you get that, class? Yes. Okay. Thank you. All right. So, with that, we will continue next meeting with kasi if we have composition, okay, the various composition will determine kung ano yung mga properties, di ba? Sabi ko kanina, di ba, whatever we observe in the macroscopic world is a manifestation of what is happening at the atomic or molecular level. Okay? Yan. Diba? Kaya, I wish to end here, pero sige. Sabi, ulit po, ma'am. Last na po, sorry. Okay, sige, ulit ha. Kanina, let's go back. Balikan natin yung kanina. Ano ba yan? Mahina ang connection ko, class. Sorry. I have a weak connection. Ayan. Okay. Uulitin ko from the top. Dito. This is atomic number. This is mass number. Walang charge. Pag walang charge, yung atomic number is the number of protons. Kung 12 yan, 12 din ang electrons. Walang charge eh. Okay. Tapos yung mass number, minus 12, that gives you the number of neutrons. Okay? Neutrons. Kaya nga, 12 protons, 12 electrons, 11 neutrons. O, you got that? Nakuha na? Miss Ashley? O. Sa ions naman, ganun din. Kaya lang titignan mo yung charge, di ba? Like for example, o ito. Sige, dito na tayo. Yan. May charge na positive 2. Okay? Yung atomic number niya, hindi na babago. Kasi pag binago mo yan, hindi na yan calcium, right? Pag naging 19 yan, it's no longer calcium. It's already, I think, potassium. O kaya pag naging 11 yan, so, sodium na yan. Pag naging 10 yan, neon na yan. Di ba? Something like that. So, only calcium has an atomic number 20. Kaya nga, tinanong ko kayo kanina, di ba? Have you seen two elements that have the same atomic number in the periodic table? Sabi nyo, wala. Wala talaga. Because the atomic number is also the identity of the element. Okay, now for this atom, it has 20 protons at dahil may charge, okay, at positive. Ibig sabihin, pag positive, nag-lose siya ng electrons. It has, kasi lumamang yung protons, kaya positive. Remember, protons are positive, electrons are negative. Diba? O, since positive 2, that means it has lost 2 electrons. Kaya, yung composition nito is what? 18 electrons. 20 protons, 18 electrons, and how much? 22 neutrons. Kasi 42 ang mass number, minus 20, that gives you 22 protons. Diba? O yung example natin kanina, calcium 40. 40 yun, mami. Oo, merong ganyan. Merong atom na ganyan. Meron ding atom na calcium 42 ang mass number. Ang tawag dyan ay isotopes. Okay, isotopes. Hindi ko nga pala nailagay dito, no? Isotopes. Atom, pareho naman silang calcium atom eh. Pero 42 ang mass number yung isa naman ay 40. So they are the same calcium atom, different mass number. Ibig sabihin, magkaiba lang sila sa number of neutrons. So ang tawag dyan ay isotopes. Okay? Very good. So Mr. Patrick Yuson, very good. 20, 18, 22. Ayan, yan yun. And this one, negative siya. 9 protons, 10 electrons because it has gained 1 electron and then 11 neutrons. So that's how we got 9, 10, 11 yung kanina. Diba? Tama ba? Alright? Oh, so I hope this is clear now. So I wish to end here and then we will continue from here next meeting. Okay? Thank you and God bless.
Okay. So, may questions pa ba?
Wala na po, sir.
Wala na po.
Okay. So, upload ko na lang to later on. So, available na to sa YouTube natin. So, ready na kayo sa next class ninyo. Okay? Class dismiss.
Thank you, sir.
Goodbye po.